Hi guys, this is Lady Blind Wolf, and I'm coming back on to talk more about paranormal experiences and try to get this hashtag caught up. So the first thing I want to go into, this is going to be a two-part story. A house that we had lived in, and I'm not going to say where. One day, my aunt had lived around the corner from us, and my mother had heard about ambulances and sirens and stuff. So, of course, thinking it had something to do with my aunt, I heard something about a boy. But at any rate, she runs over around the corner to where my aunt had lived, and the street was situated kind of strange. But she had ran thinking it was, something going on over there, and she was gone for some time. Of course, I was home by myself, and I was waiting for her, and I happened to look out the door, and I saw a boy standing across the street. The next morning, my mother and my father were having a discussion, and apparently there was a boy riding his bicycle over by my aunt's house, and the little boy had been hit and killed. That's the first one. And then the second one I'm going to call the Gray House. There had been several deaths in the neighborhood due to old age. One person had committed suicide, and there was a girl that had been killed on the railroad tracks across the street from the house. And we had been having experiences in the house since we had moved in, knocking, doors opening and closing, and things like that. And then after the young girl had the accident, the activity had sort of spiked. I had seen a shadow going back and forth across the wall, and of course there was a large window that was facing the wall. So I would think, oh, someone's walking in front of the window, and there would be no one there. And this happened numerous times. We would hear things running, just odd noises around the house at night. And then there was one day where I was telling my sister and her friends about the experiences that were going on. And of course, my sister didn't believe me. And around that time, I look, and the shadow is going back and forth across the wall. I say nothing, and I point, and my sister and her friends turn and look, and they see the shadow. My sister had an experience where her and her friend, they had seen the curtain that she had in the closet had moved. That totally freaked her out. I had an experience where there was a 2-liter bottle, and I was sitting with one of my kids, and the bottle just started to bubble up, and the cap totally blew off the bottle and hit the ceiling. I was going to get bread one day, and a whole loaf of bread fell on me, and I turned and looked at my sister's friend, and she was white as a sheet, and she pointed, and she said, "That thing rose up and fell on you." Now, the girl in question, she had been messing around the railroad tracks and had gotten run over by the train. And as I said, since her passing, and then of course there was a house across the street where a gentleman had committed suicide. So, the activity had really begun to spike. There was an incident where we had tarot cards, and of course I was new to tarot at the time, and we were all sitting there, and we started asking questions about the girl that had passed. And every time someone would ask a question about the girl that had passed, the card would come up, and the boy that was with her had one color hair, and the girl had another. And the girl was laying at the bottom of the tower, the girl skeleton. So we kind of figured out real quick that someone was asking questions about the girl. My sister had gone to the actual funeral. I did not. And she was telling us about how different things with the funeral that I'd never heard a religion do. And I said, well, gee, that's some kind of odd religion. And we all hear bam, bam, bam on the side of the house. Of course, we all jump up, and one of her friends and I go and look, and this was wintertime, and there were no footprints where we heard the banging. So that kind of really totally freaked us out. And then after my father had passed, I had had an experience with him where I had heard him walking, and my dog, who whenever he heard my dad come into the room, would jump up, and my dog had jumped up, and I could hear my father tapping his cane on the floor. And of course, after his passing, we were having a celebration, and for his birthday, kind of celebrate his birthday, that type of thing. And my sister had her camera, and she began taking pictures of the outside of the house at night to see if she caught so many orbs it wasn't even funny. Personally, I think that the land, not the house itself, was haunted. But as I said, after this girl's death, things had really kind of spiked. Before my father had passed, he was really freaked out because he had a glass of water, and he had filled the glass of water up, and it was sitting there, and he had said that the glass had vibrated and it just shattered. So he comes back into the kitchen and said, I don't know what happened, the glass just broke. And he took another glass of water and went back into his room, and the same thing happened. And of course, this was a few weeks before my father's passing. So I know that my son had talked about an experience that he had, and I don't really want to. He had said that he had seen things when he was younger that he had told me about. So that is day 3. Thanks a lot, guys. Peace, love, and light. Bye.